and proportions, Chapter 3, Section 5. Okay, fill this out as we go. Okay, the beginning is there for you. Okay, a ratio. Okay, a ratio, first of all, the definition of a ratio. Okay, is basically something that uses division to compare two quantities. What's a quantity? What's a quantity? Bruce? An amount of something, sure. For instance, you could have a quantity of students. How many students are in here? Okay, so suppose I want to do a ratio of, well, first of all, let's talk about the three ways that you can write a ratio. Okay, and you need to know these three ways, because you're going to see them all three. You can have A to B, with a little 2 in there. Okay, you can have A colon B, or A over B. For example, suppose that I tell you I want a ratio of boys or males to females in the room. What would it be? Well, how do you know? Did you look?
No, I don't know.
Well, let's look. How many males do I have in here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? 11 males.
Oh, that's not good.
So we have 11. How many females? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? So 11 males to 6 females. Oh yeah, male students to female students. So it's 11 to 6 ratio, males students to female students. Okay? Is this in simplest form? Can I simplify this at all? Simplify the ratio? No. Or yes, it is in simplest form. This one is. Okay? Now, what about, so this is male students to female students. What about female students to the number of people in this class? Okay, female students to the number of people. Well, how many female students do we have? 6 female students. How many people are in this class? 18. If you can count me, I'm a human. Okay? I'm a person. Female students to people. So is that in simplest form? No. How would I simplify that? Right. I would simplify it like a fraction. So I would divide both by something higher than 2 and 3? 6. 6 divided by 6? 1 to 3. So for every 1 female student, there's 3 people. So I could go 1 female student, 1, 2, 3 people. 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 Okay? So for every 1 female student, there's 3 people in this class. Okay, that's what that means. Questions about ratios. Now, do you use these? Have you ever seen those? Do you have any auto body in here? Auto body? No, auto bodies? I always have an auto body. Has anybody ever painted a car? Have you mixed paint? Hey, that's exactly what this is. You have to mix a primer to a base to whatever. But when you mix paint, I know this for a fact, this is Mr. Newsom's. He does auto body in here. When you mix a color, okay, if you want to mix a color, for instance, if you want to mix for a Chevy color, and they give you the, I don't know what the color is, okay, they will give you the mixture of each part. For instance, a 3 to 1 to 1 ratio. Okay, it would be 3 parts of whatever they have to 1 part to 1 part. Okay, 3 parts of, I don't know what they mix. I don't mix paint. Okay, but I do know Mr. Newsom gave this to me for when we do ratios. Okay, so if you mix paint, you'll use ratios. Any Cosmo? Culinary? Culinary? For every 3 cups of flour, you need 1 egg. 3-to-1 ratio. For every 3 fish, you get a pound. What do we have in here? But everybody in here uses the ratios. I just don't know what you guys are all. Natural resources? Meat cutting. Oh, heck yeah. For every pound, it's 67 cents. 67 cents per pound, right? Or that could be for anything. For every cubic foot, there's 2.5 fish in the pond. Oh, I mean, yeah, that would be, how about 2.5 fish for every cubic yard? Does that work? That's still a lot of fish, but that's a lot of fish. 1 fish for every 3 cubic yards. How about that? What do you have? Oh, yes, you do. If you have, depending on how much your horse weighs, it's how many pills they get. 2 pills per 100 pounds. So if you have a 200-pound horse, you need how many pills? 4 pills. Still equine. Okay, regardless, can I find a ratio in everything that you do? Yeah, pretty much in everything that you do. Okay. Now, let's go on to proportions. An equation that states 2 ratios are equivalent. Okay, so AB equals CD, but B and D cannot be 0, because you can't divide by 0. Okay, so B and D cannot be 0. So, for example, if I have the ratio 1/4, or 1:4, what's equivalent to 1:4? 2:8. Not 8:16. 4:16. 8:32. Okay. What are you doing? Yeah, you're just multiplying. Okay. Multiplied by 2, you get 2 to 8. Multiplied by 4, you get 4:16. Okay. Multiplied by 8, you get 8:32. Okay. 16 times 16, yes, 16 and 64 would be 1. Okay? You get the idea. All of these are equivalent. Now, let's do some examples. Now, these are in your packet, and you actually have to do these with me, because these are what we're looking for. Solving proportions when I don't know, okay, what one of them are. I have 11/6 equals x over 30. Well, this is kind of like an equation, and we did lots of equations before break. Okay, do you remember how to solve equations here? What do I do to both sides here? Multiply by what? Yeah, I'm going to multiply both sides by 30. Now what happens? On this side, the 30s just cancel, right? And what am I left with? Just x. Don't forget about the x on top. X over 1. Or these, yeah, you're left with 1 here. Now, can I cross-reduce here? Yes, I can. I can cross-reduce 30 and 6. They're both divisible by, what's 6 divided by 5? What's 6 divided by 5? Exactly. What are both of these divisible by? 6. Don't just shout out answers. Think and look. Both of them are divisible by 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1. 30 divided by 6 is 5. So what am I left with? 5 times 11 over 1. So that gives me 55 over 1, or just 55. Okay, well, let's do another one. What did I just push? I don't know. W over 35 equals 4 over 7. How do I get W by itself? Multiply both sides by 35. So do that on your paper. These are going to cancel. I'm left with W equals, can I cross-reduce 4 and 1 or 35 and 7? Yeah, what 35 and 7, what can I cross-reduce those? Not 5. What are both 7 and 35 divisible by? 7. 7 divided by 7? 35 divided by 7? Okay, so I'm left with 4 times 5 on the top and 1 times 1 on the bottom. That's just 20. So not too bad. Once you have the proportion set up, it's just solving equations. Let's do another one. Now, this one's written different. It's written a lot different. Now, 5 is to 7 as A is to 49. What am I looking for? Remember the 3 different ways ratio can be written? How to write as a proportion? Right, but what's the key word here, or the key to? Remember 5 to 7 is one way to write a ratio. Okay, if you look on the front page of your notes, okay, ratios can be written in 3 different ways. One of them is 5 to 7. Well, 5 is to 7, so I have 5 to 7 as A is to 49. So now I have my proportion. How do I solve for A? Multiply both sides by 49 over 1. These are going to cancel to 1, and I'm left with A equals, can I cross-reduce here? Yeah. 7 and 49 are both divisible by what? 7. So 7 divided by 7 is 1. 49 divided by 7 is 7. There you go. So I have 7 times 5, which is 35. 1 times 1. So I'm left with, I'm running out of room here. 35 equals A. Bless you. Bless you. Now, here's another one, but it's a little different. It's got decimals in it. But I want to solve basically the same way. So how would I get B by itself? Multiply both sides by 0.5. These cancel. I'm left with B equals. Now, you can cross-reduce here, but it's a little more difficult than the ones before. So you don't have to. So I'm going to show you how to do it without cross-reducing in case you don't want to cross-reduce because it's a difficult one. So I'm going to have 9 times 0.5 on the top and 2.5 times 1 on the bottom. Correct? All I did was take 9 times 0.5, that 0.5 looks kind of funny, and 2.5 times 1 on the bottom. Now, what's half of 9, or 9 times a half? 4.5, right? Half of 9 is 4.5. So I have 4.5 over 2.5, because 2.5 times 1 is just 2.5. Now, how can I reduce these? Well, here's how I think of it, okay? The way I can do it in my head. How many, well, both of these are both divisible by a half, right? I can get halves into all of these. How many halves fit into 4.5? Well, how many halves fit into 1? 2. How many halves fit into 2? 4. How many halves fit into 2? 2 for the first one, 2 for the second one, 4. Think what I'm saying. 2 halves for 1. Add 2 more halves, and you get 2. So I have 4 total. For 3, how many halves do I have? 2, 4, 6. For 4, 2, 4, 6, 8. Then I have 4 1/2. 9 on the top. How many halves fit into 2 1/2? How many halves fit into 1? 2. How many halves fit into 2? Okay, don't just yell out answers. Think. How many halves fit into 1? 2. How many halves fit into 2? 2 more. So I have 4 total. So then plus 1/2 is 5. So 9/5 is my answer. Now, these get a little bit more difficult. These are more than just one step. This is a 2-step equation. Now, I have to get rid of the 10 and the 108. Which one do I get rid of first? The 108. Okay? Because if you remember, this is just like it's in parentheses. Okay, I believe I said that before break a long time ago. Maybe once or twice. Okay? So, if that's parentheses, I have to get rid of what's outside the parentheses first. So what do I do to both sides? Multiply by 108. So I'm left with 10h equals, can I cross reduce this? 9 and 108? You can. Does anybody know what it is? Times 10 would be 90. Times 11 would be 99. Times 12 is 108. So 9 would be divisible by both of these. This one's going to be 1, and this one's going to be 12. 12 times 9 is 108. So 12 times 5 is 60. Now how do I solve for h? Divide both sides by 10. So I'm left with h equals 6. I think we have one more. Whoops, there it went. Okay, same thing. This division line means this is in parentheses. Well, this division is in parentheses. Okay, so I have to get rid of the 39 first. Okay, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 39 over 1. Now, can I cross-reduce 39 and 112? You can't. So it's an ugly one. So I have 39 times 7 over 112 equals k minus 4. Because these are going to cancel. What's 39 times 7? Does anybody have a calculator with them? Can you do that for me? $273? Okay, so now take that 273 and divide it by 12. Because I have that minus 12 on the, or divide by 12 on the, or I'm sorry, 112. Not 12, 112. 273 divided by 112. 2.4375. So about 2.4? Okay, so we'll round to the nearest tenth. So we have 2.4 equals k minus 4. Well, how do I get k by itself? Add 4 to both sides. So adding decimals, I have to line the decimals up. So I have 6.4. So it's about 6.4. We rounded 2.4, so it's about 6.4. All right, one more problem. It's not on your worksheet, but I want you to work through this with me. Okay, it's a word problem. Somebody read it for me. My throat's really hurting. Bruce, go ahead. Okay, loud and clear. Thank you. So I have to go through and underline or circle important information. What would be important information? This is my classroom. Stop. Yes, 150 feet in 5 seconds would be one of important information. (1,029 feet above the ground). 94th floor. Do I need to know that? Not really. So now I have to set up a proportion is probably what we need to do. So what do I know about, how can I set up a proportion in this case? 150 over 5. Well, I'm going to go 5 over 150, and I'll show you why in just a second. So the top stands for what? Your seconds, right? And the bottom stands for your feet. Right? Because 5 seconds, 150 feet. Now, what do I know about the second part? Goes on the bottom. Do I know the seconds? Yeah, I don't know the time, so it's find the time. Or S or X or whatever you want to put is fine. Okay? Now I have a proportion. Can I solve it? Now, do you understand why I put it this way? If I'd have it the other way, the X would be on the bottom, and I don't want the X on the bottom. Yeah, do it more difficult. Okay? So this is what I want to do. So I have to multiply both sides by 1,029. Okay? So I'm left with X equals, what's 5 times 1,029 divided by 150?
What is it?
5 times 1,029. 5,145. Now divide that by 150. 5,145 divided by 150. Now, what does that stand for? Right, seconds. So how would I say that to someone, a reply to that? It takes 34.3 seconds to get to the 94th floor. You could say about half a minute, a little over half a minute. That's pretty fast. You're cruising. All right. Any questions?